Today we are talking about this new release, People Like Her by Ellery Lloyd. So to get us started, I'll give you guys a little bit of a spoiler-free synopsis of what this book is about. This book primarily focuses on a young, hip UK family, United Kingdom, and there is a mom, a dad, and 2 children. The mom is named Emmy, the dad is named Dan, and then they have 2 children, Bear, who is a 2-month-old child, and then they have a little daughter named Coco. What is interesting about this family is that the mom does not have a traditional job. She is a social media personality. In the book, there is also a fan who is also a stalker, and throughout the book, you're trying to figure out what is going on and how will this all end. For the structure of this review, at the end, I'll tell you my ultimate conclusion, what my star rating is, but I'm going to talk about 3 pros and 3 cons for this book. The first pro, this book had a super strong beginning. It was really funny. There was a lot of material for it to be funny, and it's very relatable. So, for example, in the very beginning of the book, they were talking about how the wife lies. And I think we've all been there, especially if you've gone to university. You will see people who go out. You can tell just by the way that they're taking pictures that they're taking pictures for social media. Typically, you'll see somebody go, and they'll take a picture of them like way over the top happy. As soon as the picture ends, they're like downtrodden and depressed and like emo and like lonely. It seems to put a spotlight on how lonely they really are. But you can tell they're trying to take pictures and prove to somebody that like their life is better than what it is, or they're doing just so great and wonderful and they have this wonderful life. So I thought that portion was really funny, and the book has a very strong beginning, which I really, really enjoyed. The second thing I really enjoyed about this book, I really wish that I had read this book in a book club, because I think this book touches on a lot of different topics that I don't really talk about that much in real life. And I feel like it would have been really good to have a discussion about some of the things that are raised in the book. So you guys can be my book club. You can put your comments below. But there is definitely a lot of questions raised. Some of them are, should children be on the internet? Should you share pictures of your children on the internet? So if you don't, what age do you think you should start sharing your child's picture on the internet? Do you think 10, 15, 18 years old when they're heading off to college? When do you allow them to be photographed and put online? I would also love to hear from moms and dads who either allow everything to be photographed and put online, or if you allow nothing to be put up online, what do people say to you? Because I feel that parents will get criticisms regardless of their position. I think the people who don't put up the pictures, people will say, well, your child's isolated, they're missing out. They may not be able to remember or connect with other people as well because they won't be tagged in all the photos. And it's harder to connect with people and connect with family members and friends. And, their picture's going to be up there anyways. Or the people who overshare, has that gotten you into trouble? We have definitely, at least I've heard court cases or cases where children posted something and got their college acceptance letters rescinded, or they got suspended from school because they posted something and they kind of felt like this was a call out to the wild, shouting off a mountaintop, but then they had to deal with the consequences of those those actions and behaviors because they posted it online. So I thought that piece was really a good question, because a lot of us, especially my generation, we didn't grow up with Instagram, Facebook, all this social, LinkedIn. We didn't have all this stuff. So now we're trying to navigate, and especially for our children, what are you supposed to put online? Are you not supposed to put anything online? And what's the guidebook? What are the rules? These are very difficult choices to make. And I thought that the book definitely touched on that and talked about that. And I thought that that was really interesting. The other thing I thought was really interesting, when you take a family portrait, you get up, you do your hair, you do your makeup, you usually have all these like little matchy cute outfits, and you take this glorious family portrait. I mean, we've all seen them. People have them hanging up on their walls as soon as you come into their house. And they love it, and they're beautiful and they're shining, or people send their Christmas cards with this angelic looking family. And I feel that social media is very similar. People want to put their best face forward. But then I think this book really kind of asked the question, where is the line between showing your best face and showing the positives of your life versus just out and out lying? When you're saying, where do you draw the line between saying, I have this beautiful life and I want to share it with my followers, and well, I'm totally lying about my life and misconstruing it completely? I don't know where that line is. So does that, and what does that mean? So if you're sad, don't even take a picture. You can't post on social media, or you have to post pictures of yourself bawling. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. That's why I thought, oh man, I really need a book club for this. So if you got like opinions about like what you choose to share, and if you only share the good parts of your life with social media, or if you share everything on social media, I want to hear from you. Drop your comments below. Another thing the book touched on, who are the representatives for mothers? And how much mothering do they actually do? So for example, the two moms that I know about, at least from books and television and social media, one would be Rachel Hollis, and she has admitted she has a nanny and she has a cleaner, somebody who comes to her house. And also I read Becoming by Michelle Obama, where she talks about in her book that she noticed that one of her children was putting on weight, so she had a chef come to her house and make healthy food. I'm not blasting either one of these women. I'm just saying that they talk about motherhood, but they personally don't represent the majority of women in America or in the world. 99% of us don't have a nanny, a chef, or a cleaner. Some people have a cleaner, but most people don't have a nanny, and they don't have a personal chef. So how do you manage in your day-to-day responsibilities? Who can you go to for encouragement? Who is really sharing that same experience with you, because you don't have the ability to outsource some of the more challenging parts. So I think there were a lot of really good points of discussion that this book raised, which I thought was really interesting. The third pro was I learned actually a lot about social media. I had no idea that social media influencers had an agent. I don't have an agent. Maybe I need to look into one. I had no clue that social media folks had agents. So I was kind of surprised. I was surprised at some of the inner goings of social media personalities. I had no idea that they got so much free stuff. There were a lot of things in the book. I found it interesting. Even as a YouTube creator, I learned something. So now for everybody's favorite part, my 3 cons of this book. The first con that I had, the book didn't really have a genre. It didn't really fit into any one of the genres, and I felt like it did a poor job managing which genre it was in. So on the one hand, they have a story about the social media influencer, which I thought was interesting, but then they also have this person who's kind of stalking the family. However, I didn't like the way that they integrated that piece together. So was it about the social media influencer and her story, or was it supposed to be this mystery or thriller? And as a mystery or thriller, I don't think it did a very good job, because you would have maybe 25, 50 pages of Emmy or Dan or both of them talking, or their chapters, and then you would have like 1 or 2 pages from the stalker, and she's slowly revealing what she's up to and slowly revealing her reasons for why she's upset with this family, and the ultimate conclusion up at the very end. The second con that I have for this book, the characters are not likable. You don't want to like root for them. You don't support them. We have Emmy. Emmy she lies a lot, and you might be able to say that's her character, that she does that for her followers, and that's what she does as like her job. But she stole that story from her very best friend. She steals her story from her best friend and puts it out there like it's her own. And then when she calls the friend, she doesn't say, "Oh, I'm so sorry." It was about, "Oh, you're causing me all this fallout." It wasn't, "I care about you. I'm super sorry. I did something horrible and I apologize and I don't care about this Instamom thing." Like, that can come and go. "You've been my friend forever." She doesn't say any of that. It's always about Emmy and me. She doesn't care about anybody else, really. She cares all about her. She kept something from her husband that was really significant in their relationship, and she never told him. She just seems to lie all the time. She doesn't seem to particularly care for her children. She takes all these pictures of them in kind of vulnerable positions and puts them in danger. She does take pictures of them, puts them up, and then people do find out where she lives. There's break-ins, there's people coming to get her and her children who are threatening them, and she still doesn't stop. So Mom, not really a big fan of Mom. Even if you say that's kind of the act she's putting on, the show that she's putting on, she's performing for her followers, okay, that's fine. But she's still not a very good human being. Then we have Dan. Dan is just, he knows things are going wrong. He just doesn't say anything. He knows that he's running out of money. He doesn't like what Emmy's doing. He doesn't like what he's doing to the children, or she's doing to the children. But he still just goes along with it. And he's just this passive, like, "Oh, my kids are not being treated correctly. They're in danger. Oh, well, and, well, I don't like it." And he's just too, like, passive. And I didn't, like, dude, if you step up to the plate, if your kids are in danger, figure something out. Don't just sit back and blame your wife. Develop a plan of action, man. The kids are there, but they're kind of misbehaved, but you have people who are lying and somebody who never intervenes. So what can you expect? And they're kids. I don't hold them accountable, but they weren't exactly sweet or endearing. The third thing that just like destroyed this book for me was it was so unbelievable. It didn't make any sense. The more I thought about it, it didn't make sense, particularly the ending. So this is like major spoiler time now. So if you are sensitive to spoilers, even though you're checking out book reviews, knowing you haven't read the book, but if you're like, "I really don't want to know what the end is," then drop off right now, because I'm telling you the end and how it sucked so bad. Ugh. And just so many things that did not make sense with the book. I'll tell you them all right now. Well, just a handful, because you'll get bored. First of all, like, first and foremost, Dan becoming this insta-dad at the end. He complains almost the whole book about Emmy putting her kids in danger, how one of the kids almost dies. Well, both of them almost die twice. And he doesn't care. He doesn't do anything, and then he just becomes even bigger than Emmy at the end. Like, it doesn't make any sense. And then number 2, the nurse. She has this elaborate plan how she doesn't want to hurt the children. She wants to hurt Emmy. And she goes for this really long, slow, painful death of their child. It doesn't make sense. why would you have this long, drawn out death of a child? Because she says in the book, oh, I'm not like this. I don't want to hurt the child. I would never want to hurt this innocent child, but I will do this because I must hurt Emmy. Okay, well, if that's true, why are you letting this poor child suffer for days and days and days and days for it just to die of starvation and dehydration? It's a horrible way. Why would you do that? Why wouldn't you just like immediately take action once you know that they're at the house, once Emmy's out cold? Why would you wait days and days and days? That made zippo sense to me. That's why I was like, the more I thought about it, I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. Then she talks about at the end, she can't access, the stalker person can't access any of her money. That didn't make sense either. She said at the outset that her whole plan was she was going to get rid of the child, and then Emmy would wake up and see that the child was gone, and she would have to relive this horrible, horrible pain and realize that she had caused it, brought it on herself, all these things. But the plan was that Emmy was going to live all along. She was going to wake up in that house, have the letter and everything. Therefore, the lady was going to go on the run. Why didn't she have her money ready? It did not make any sense. It didn't make any sense at all. And finally, but certainly not least, the last thing that just did not make any sense at all was the grandmother or mom or whoever, the stalker lady, holding Emmy responsible for what happened to her family. Because it really reminded me of, so what happened was, for those of you who tuned in, what happened was there was a mother named Grace in the book. This is fictional. There was a mother named Grace in the book. She had a young infant who would not ever go to sleep at night. She would cry all the time. And Grace was just desperate. So she started talking about co-sleeping, which for those of you who don't know what that is, that's where a mom or a dad or whoever sleeps in the same bed with the baby. And it is not recommended because you can roll over and smother the baby. In addition to lots of other things, like you're not supposed to have blankets in the bed and a bunch of other reasons. The pediatrician, the Academy of Pediatricians have said don't do it. But Grace was really desperate, and she talked to some moms, and there are some moms that do co-sleep. I'm telling you, the social media influencers out there are people out there who will co-sleep. In fact, I saw on this reality TV, they were showing this crib, and it had all these bumpers and stuff, and I'm like, you can't have that. That's not safe. I wish you would stop showing that and promoting that on TV, because the stuff's not safe. But in any case, Grace was interested in co-sleeping, and so she went to this conference that Emmy had, and she asked Emmy about co-sleeping, and Emmy's default answer to her audience is to just placate them. Whatever crazy idea they have, she's like, oh, that's a great idea, mama. You do you. You're awesome, mama. That's her like default answer. So when Grace brought up the idea of co-sleeping, she said, oh, people have been doing it for many generations. You do you. You sleep when they're sleeping. You go, girl. And of course, it turned out deadly. Grace lost her child, and Grace couldn't tolerate it, and it ended badly for her as well. But the nurse blamed Emmy for that. And this reminded me of the situation that people hear what they want to hear. If they have an idea in their mind, they'll just go ask a bunch of people until somebody says, oh yeah, that's a great idea. No matter how dumb the idea is, people will do dumb things as soon as they find one other person on the planet that will agree with them. Case in point. So if you haven't already guessed, my channel name is Lisa of Troy. I live in Troy, Michigan. Well, there is a very famous doctor in Michigan called Dr. Yoon, and he practices in Troy. I may or may not have had a consult with him. In any case, Dr. Yoon, he is a plastic surgeon who was on the first season of Dr. 90210. He was offered a full-time position with like the show or whatever, but he said, no, I want to come back to Metro Detroit, and he set up his practice in Troy. He was going, I was watching one of his videos this week, and there was somebody on there who wanted a surgery, a very large surgery, and she had asked 4 or 5 different doctors. She admitted this. She went to 4 or 5 different doctors, and they all told her, no, this is a horrible idea. No way. Like, it's a bad idea. But she finally got that 5th or 6th doctor to say yes. He performed the surgery, and as soon as she woke up, she said, this was a horrible idea. I'm having all kinds of back pain, and it doesn't look right. It looks like a puzzle piece is missing. This is horrible. Dr. Yoon, can you fix me? And of course, he said, yes or whatever. But here's the thing. She was just like, she knew it was a bad idea. She knew it was a bad idea. And many trained professionals told her no over and over and over and over. Like, it's regulated by the government. Like, there's a reason why you shouldn't be engaging in this procedure. Like, there's a reason, but she pressed on with it anyways. And we like, it's that, but you also know people where you have seen them with, somebody who's not a good partner, and they're like, but I love them. And like 2 months after they get married, they're like, we're not together anymore. And they're like, how did you know? Like, because everybody could see it. Like, everybody could see it. It was a bad idea, and everybody told you it was a bad idea. But people, when they want something, they'll do it no matter what, So if it wasn't Emmy that said, oh yeah, that's a great idea, she was gonna keep going until she found somebody who said, oh yeah, it's a great idea. So I don't know why she was blaming Emmy for this advice, because honestly, her daughter would have just kept going until she found somebody. So that all being said, what do I rate this book? And I'm gonna give you a little like build up. I've never started a book like so high. I was like so excited about this book. It was like this. But I've never had a book start like this and go like this. So quickly. It started so promising. I loved it so much. And by the end, I hated it so much. It was horrible. That being said, my star rating, I'll give this book a 3.5 stars. I was gonna initially, so Goodreads doesn't have half stars. You either have to do a 3 or you have to do a 4. Initially, I was gonna give it a 4-star, but when I kept thinking about it last night, like, I could not stop thinking about this book. I'm like, I have to go down to a 3-star because the ending did not make any sense. Why did she let that poor baby suffer? Especially when she said, I don't want the poor baby to suffer. So why did you do it? It didn't make any sense. Because there were so many like lapses in that, I would say it's a 3-star. I think it did offer some really good points of discussion. I still think it would be fabulous for a book club to talk about, but my overall, it would be a 3.5 star. If you believe that books create ideas and ideas change the world, make sure you're subscribed to my channel so we can change the world one book at a time. I'm Lisa of Troy. Peace.